Well, hello, Potterhead Running Club, and welcome to our live Q&A. I am joined today by Miss Wendy Knight, the Executive Director of Sea Turtle Inc. Down in Texas, who are our charity partners for the Mind the Gap 14.2K. Wendy, happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday and happy Oceans Day.
Yes, happy World Ocean Day. We're thrilled. Sea Turtle Inc. is actually the fourth charity partner that Random Tuesday and the Fantasy Running Clubs has had that deals with the ocean. So what do you do for World Ocean Day? How do you celebrate World Ocean Day?
Well, we always see anything like this as an opportunity to educate the public. So this morning, we actually started our day off with a partnership that involved having living mermaids on site. We did a live stream with some mermaids and our turtles to educate people about ocean health and what you can be doing to help the ocean. And we did that in collaboration with the Center for Interactive Learning. So that's how we got to start our day. Not many people say they get to start their day with a mermaid.
That's awesome. Did she sing or did she have no voice?
She could speak. She did not sing, but I think the gig was up when I saw her leave because I saw her legs. So.
It was all a ruse.
It was.
Well, we're celebrating World Ocean Day as well by having a Q&A with you, our charity partner, and we're going to talk about sea turtles. And I am really excited to talk about this. So how did Sea Turtle Inc. get started?
So Sea Turtle Inc. was really envisioned out of the passion and interest that our founder, Isla Letcher, had for sea turtles. So we began in 1977 in her backyard, really just out of a motivation to help and do things. When sea turtles got added to the endangered species list, which means they were near extinction, Isla just felt a passion and a drive to do something. She was a maverick in her own right. She was part of the first 99ers, the first women to receive a pilot license. She was friends with Amelia Earhart. She was quite her own little rule maker. And she saw a need with sea turtles around education and rehabilitation and taking action, and literally in her own backyard started this movement that now, more than 40 years later, we are still up and running. So we moved out of her backyard into our current location in 1999 and have become one of the largest sea turtle conservation organizations in the world.
That is amazing. So 40 years, still going strong. And the amazing thing is that there are sea turtles that she may have rescued that you may theoretically rescue again, the same sea turtle.
We actually have a sea turtle that is a resident we have residents here. So in addition to having a hospital, we have a little community, an apartment, so to speak, of turtles that live with us that for one reason or another can't live independently of us. And two of our residents, Jerry and Merry Christmas, were in fact rescued by Isla. They lived in Isla's backyard, and they still live with us today. And they're ranging from 80 pounds to 250 pounds, but they're still here.
And their approximate age is?
So it depends on the type of animal, but Jerry and Merry Christmas are around 25 years old.
Sea turtles can live an impressive lifespan, so long as humans don't get in the way.
That tends to be the biggest downfall is sea turtles have a relatively large range. They can get even up to 300 pounds or bigger, and they can live hundreds of years, assuming that that humans don't get in the way.
Yeah, and all of that, those years and all of those pounds starts on beaches. They start on beaches as the sea turtle gets up, the female gets onto land and lays her eggs. You guys are directly involved in protecting that process and, in fact, assisting it. Talk to us about the hatchlings.
Sure. So we have a 3-legged mission statement, and one of those legs is conservation. So we are located on South Padre Island, Texas, not just because it is the most beautiful beach in the South, not just because of how pretty the Gulf of Mexico is, but we are one of only 2 beaches in the world where the Kemp's Ridley actually comes to nest. So we are in the middle today of nesting season. So far in nesting season, we've had 50 mama turtles that have come up onto the beach of South Padre Island and laid a nest. And a nest can be anywhere between 80 and 120 or 30 eggs. And what we do is we get report of the mama, or we find her on our own through our own patrols. We then protect her while she is nesting. So understandably, having 120 eggs all at one time can be a little stressful. So the mama goes into basically like a trance. You could walk right up to her and touch her, which you should not do because that's illegal. But you could, and she would not move. So our staff protects her while she's having that process. And then the moment that she is done laying her nest, covering them, and she's returning to the ocean, we excavate that nest and we take it to a private corral. We bury it again with the dirt in the same atmosphere it was before, and we protect it from scavengers and elements and flood to try to help boost the population. And then the moment those hatchlings come out from the soil, we return them immediately to the ocean and let them go back into the water.
Now, you guys actually put them on the beach. They actually have to make that walk themselves. It's not like you're taking them into the water. They actually make the journey as that gap, which is why we call it Mind the Gap, folks, that gap from where they're born to the actual Big Blue, right. They actually have to make that walk themselves.
They do. As much as we'd like to help them along, sea turtles geoprint is something that's part of their makeup. They need to experience walking into the water. And interestingly enough, wherever they geoprint or wherever they go into the water, that is actually where they will return to nest all of their lives.
That's amazing.
Isn't that impressive?
Because if that were true with humans, I'd be going back to Omaha, Nebraska. That'd be weird. That would just be weird. And I'd be going back to Emmanuel Medical Center in downtown Omaha. It's weird. It's weird, strange. But and I don't remember anything about that. But the fact that they can geoprint and then come back to that exact same spot decades later is absolutely amazing.
Every 10 years, well, for the first 10 years, when they reach sexual maturity, they'll come back at about year 10 to 12. And then 3 or 4 times every year for the females for, as long as they're around. So the impact that can have to the population is significant. And that's why we take such care during conservation and nesting season.
Now, that said, as they are making their walk to the beach, you guys do help shoo some things away.
Yeah, we won't just leave them out there to fend for themselves. Yes, as the opportunity comes to, if birds see them, if you've ever seen a hatchling, it is essentially the size of a silver dollar, the inside of the palm of your hand. And interestingly enough, they're squishy, they're soft. So that is the reason why it is so difficult to get hatchlings past that year 5, 6, 7. They are such at risk of predators because pretty much anybody can hurt them. And once they get old enough, it's very hard to hurt them. But they're squishy and they're soft and birds could pick them up pretty easily. So we do the best that we can to make sure they make it to the water.
Gotcha. So you guys are shooing some birds, you're shooing some crabs, making sure that humans and dogs stay away.
100%. Yep.
100% on those. And so, and that's amazing. So now, once they get into the ocean, they're like you said, the first 5-7 years, it's tough because they're still kind of squishy. And so, out of 1,000 babies, how many actually make them to adulthood?
So there is some logic and some speculation that out of every 1,000 turtles that make it in, that one of them makes it to sexual maturity, which would be 10 to 12 years old. So to give you an example, Sea Turtle Inc. in the last 10 years alone has corralled and protected 55,000 eggs before this season. So before the season even began. So the statistics will tell you how quickly that 55,000 number dwindles down to, 50, 55, based on that statistic. So it's a really critical that we protect them up through that age of maturity where they can contribute to the population.
Yeah, but that's why it's so critical. Every egg that hatches, every hatchling that makes it to the ocean, is vitally important, because if you have a whole clutch or 10 clutches of eggs that don't make it into the ocean, you just took away an adult for the future.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And so, as part of the education piece and part of the Mind the Gap theme that we went with, is not just that gap from where they're hatched to the ocean itself, but also those staircases at a certain school for magic and magic can be very confusing, and people end up going the wrong way, going to the wrong floor. And these young sea turtles often go the wrong way if they hatch naturally. They go the wrong way because humans have put a bunch of lights on the beach.
They have, that's one of the good things about the sea turtles being federally protected, is that we do now have some regulatory environment where we're trying to protect, to make amber lighting so it doesn't cause confusion when the hatchlings are trying to walk towards the moon. So that's one of the reasons, in addition to the geoprinting and the magnetic energy fields that happen in the sand, it's they're going to move towards the moon. So one of the things that we're very lucky here on South Padre Island is that the business owners and beach owners are fully aware that they're privileged to share one of the only 2 beaches in the world where Kemp's Ridley's nest. And we take that very seriously with our lighting and, beach patrols and how we're watching the ocean and those things. So we're lucky to have a good partner with South Padre Island. That's
awesome. You don't get any pushback from any of the business owners or homeowners?
Not normally. It's usually an education piece once people understand why it matters, and that tends to be the case for our entire education division. People, in the grand scheme of things, does it matter? Does it, what kind of straw you use? Is it really that critical? Well, when you understand that over half of the patients that we have in the hospital and a large magnitude of why the population of sea turtles is stunted is because they eat plastics that are left in the ocean or not discarded or recycled properly. Once you understand why, it makes it a lot easier to make simple sacrifices that can make a big difference long term.
Absolutely. I live by the ocean myself. The ocean is just half a mile from my house. It's a different part of the ocean. It's Long Island Sound, but and we sadly don't have a whole bunch of sea turtles here. Our beach is not nearly as pretty as South Padre Island, but it's still the ocean. It's still wonderful and beautiful. And we actually supported, our previous event with our Hoovian Running Club was supporting clean ocean access and helping to get plastics out of the ocean. Another one of our oceanic charity partners. You're our second one this year. Because plastics are just absolutely devastating, because I know adult turtles often mistake plastic bags for jellyfish.
Jellyfish. And they eat jellyfish.
They love jellyfish. No.
Yeah. If they're in the water, if it's in the water, they assume it's food. And it's not more complicated than that. It's an instinctual response. I tell people all the time, our hospital, which is always full, is our reactive approach to these decisions that humans make. They hit them with the car, with a boat. They throw away their trash incorrectly. They fish irresponsibly. It's all human interaction. That is the lion's share of why we have patients in the hospital. The education complex is our proactive approach. That's where we're trying to teach the next generation why, even though it seems like such a large undertaking, that if you will individually make the decision that I am going to pick up 5 pieces of trash off of the ground and put it where it belongs every time I leave my house. Don't worry about whether you live near water or an ocean or a waterway where it all is ending up in the same place. If you are landlocked in Oklahoma City, pick up 5 pieces of trash every time you leave your home. If everyone will take responsibility for those things, we can have a meaningful and significant impact on a global problem just by making those incremental small decisions for ourselves. And that's really the proactive approach to our education department. That's how we're trying to reach people. Don't think about it in the mass scope of what the problem really is. Think about individual accountability and the one or two simple choices you can make to have a meaningful difference.
Absolutely. And so, folks, Sea Turtle Inc. is doing the conservation, and they're doing the education, and they're doing this rehabilitation and hospital work there. And like Wendy said, their hospital's always full because, well, humans are jerks. You know, hey. But we have to be aware of our impact on the world around us as a species. We're the only species that's sentient, and as such, we have a responsibility for all other living creatures on this big blue marble, and we got to take care of it. So the last little bit, we're coming up on 15 minutes here, a little over 15 minutes. Talk to us about the hospital. How many turtles can you support at any given time?
Well, if you'd asked me that a few months ago, I would have given you a different number than what I'm going to give you now, because you know that we just...
why? Why would that be?
Treating more than 5,300 turtles in the single largest cold stun event in recorded history.
Cold stun. So, real quick for the kids at home, a cold stun event is?
So a cold stun event is where a sea turtle uses its body, the water temperature to regulate its temperature. And even though we're in beautiful, balmy, hot Texas, on occasion we do get cold weather. And when the weather drops below 55, the sea turtle is no longer able to self-regulate its body temperature. And it essentially goes into kind of a catatonic state, for lack of a better example. And although its instincts are there, it still knows it's supposed to lift its head to breathe. It still knows it's supposed to move its flippers. It still knows it's supposed to evacuate its bowels. All those things, those instincts are still there. It's no longer able to respond to those instincts physically, and the turtle will float to the top of the water. And if not rescued quickly, it will not be able to lift its head to breathe, and it will drown on the top of the water. And that is what a cold stun event is. So on February 14th, Texas had the single largest winter storm that it's had in more than 30 years. It spanned more than 5 days of freezing weather, and we had more than 5,300 cold stun turtles in the span of about 4 days.
And because Wendy won't toot her own horn, I'll toot it for her. Folks, while the people of Texas had no power, no heat, no electricity in their own homes, these incredible volunteers and supporters of Sea Turtle Inc. got in their cars, went to the beaches, loaded these huge, massive, several 100-pound turtles into the back of trucks, into the back seat of their cars, and rescued them, despite the fact that their own human families and themselves did not have power, heat, electricity. They thought about the turtles and saved their lives. And that is just still the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And where did you take all of these turtles? Because you don't have the space for this. For 5,300, you don't have the space.
We do not. So we had about 600 of them on site here where we are today. And then we put the other 4,000 and some change in the Convention and Visitor Center, which is across the field from where our education complex is. So all within a block, South Padre Island, which is only, by the way, 2 miles long in totality, had more than 5,300 turtles for the span of about 8 days. And you hit the nail on the head. We always plan for cold stuns. I mean, this was a catastrophic event. You know, we're actually sitting here today with still no air conditioning in our buildings because of damage. There's all those things that happened as a result of having thousands of sea turtles that we weren't expecting. But I mean, this was a life-changing event for a lot of people. I am stopped on a regular basis by people that drove down from neighboring cities and came hours going, what can I do? How can I help? We had people sleeping in tents in cars. We had people up all night. We were at 3, 4 in the morning unloading turtles. It was a reaction of service from people like I have never seen in all of my years on this planet. And I think it changed people. It showed what Sea Turtle Inc. is able to do. despite the worst conditions. I mean, never would we have planned that there'd be this many, or that there'd be no power, there'd be no electricity, we ran out of gas, we ran out of food in grocery stores. I mean, it just snowballed. We were expecting locusts to come next. I mean, it couldn't have been more going wrong, but it worked, and we did it. And it's just an example of the service and the passion this organization was founded on in the first place. And, we'll get through, and we'll repair the damage, and we'll be back to where we were before, bigger and stronger than we've ever been.
Well, we are going to help make that happen, because there's still repairs that have to be made. There are turtles that have to be rescued. There are hatchlings that need help getting through that gap and getting to the ocean. And folks, you can help make that happen by signing up for the Mind the Gap 14.2K. By getting your shirt, which is really cool. It looks like an MC Escher craziness with a little bit of London Underground flavor on it. It's a lot of fun. It's an amazing medal. The stairs move. It actually spins. It rotates. It's a really cool 3D effect. So folks, sign up for the Mind the Gap 14.2K. Go visit SeaTurtleInc.org. Find out about this amazing organization. If you find yourself in Texas, you find yourself near South Padre Island, go visit the education center there, go visit the residents there, and sign up. We can help them get their air conditioning fixed. And as I am told, it gets warm in Texas in the summer, and they need some air conditioning. But also they've got to make sure that they've got the tools and equipment they need to do the education, to do the conservation, and to do the rescuing that they do. So sign up and make it happen. And I would be very grateful. I would be very grateful if you would do so. Wendy, thanks so much for joining me today and giving us just a brief glimpse into the life of Sea Turtle Inc. And to more about these amazing creatures that you guys are working to save every single day. Thank you so much for coming and joining me.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you for choosing us as your charity partner. Every dollar is going to make a meaningful difference, so we appreciate being selected.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And folks, go sign up, get your shirt, make it happen. It's World Ocean Day. Let's save some sea turtles. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.